Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining to our webinar. And today it's all going to be talking about how to operate Power Platform governance in the post-CoE starter kit era. You might have already had that about 2 months ago, Microsoft announced that they're deprecating CoE starter kits that we all have been relying on quite heavily for the last 5-7 years-ish as we were managing Power Platforms across all the different organizations. And now this tool has been deprecated. So today we're actually going to be talking about what does it mean for your governance operating model, what does it mean for your organization, and what is the transition pathway. So before we dive deep into today's topic, let us give you a little bit of a context on who we are. So hi everyone, I am Nastya Sanko. I am a Power Platform principal with more than 7 years of experience in Power Platform, in developing, architecting bespoke Power Platform solutions, in designing citizen developer training, so how to make sure that your non-techie business users know how to operate in the platform. And then also lately, I've been mostly playing the role of the kind of advisory role on the Power Platform, doing the customer strategy or the strategy around Power Platform governance model and helping to implement it successfully across different organizations. And I'm joined also by my colleague Kseniya. Kseniya, over to you.
Thank you, Nastya. Hi, everyone. My name is Kseniya. I'm a senior Power Platform developer at WM Reply. I have a great experience on governance projects. Mostly I work with Power Automate, Power Apps, Copilot Studio, Power BI, and other platform components.
Perfect. Thank you, Kseniya. So both of us, we work for WM Reply, which is a Microsoft Solutions partner, and we specialize in modern work, in AI, and we have a big team of both developers and consultants specializing in Power Platform. WM Reply is part of a large Reply holding, which consists of almost 200 consultancies in our global network. Each consultancy is specializing in their own technology or a type of offering that they deliver. We have a couple of companies who also, just as we, specialize in Microsoft technologies, but we also have loads of other consultancies who do other tech like Google, Amazon services, Salesforce, and do loads of cool stuff like robotics and machine learning. Okay, so we're done with who we are, and we're actually going to now dive into what we're going to cover today. So today we're going to start with a little bit of a reminder of why Power Platform governance is important and why it's even more important in modern age with not just automations, but also loads of agentic stuff happening around us. We'll talk about what has changed and how Microsoft is shifting from CoE Starter Kit to Power Platform Admin Center. So PPAC stands for Power Platform Admin Center. We're going to talk about the transition options. It's not actually just one. So we're going to go through what your possible pathways are. We're going to look at how to actually apply these in practice, and we're going to give you some examples on each of the transition options, and we're going to finish with just a little bit of a brief on how we can help you throughout this journey. We're also going to have a little bit of time for Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions, just please use Q&A panel, and we're going to review and answer all of the questions at the end of this webinar. So as I said, we're going to start with why Power Platform governance matters and why it's even more important nowadays. Well, the question is, the answer to this question is really simple. Without the governance model, your platform very quickly becomes a Wild West. It all starts with people just uncontrollably creating your applications, automations, and agents across the platform. Some of you have already faced that even before the Copilot Studio agents age. When Power Platform was just announced, we had these default environments, and everyone was creating apps and flows there. And you didn't even know what these solutions were doing, who was it created by, or for what kind of audience it was created. So it was really hard to manage the platform and then actually retrospectively try and apply some kind of controls to make sure it's all safe and secure. Considering that you don't know of who's creating solutions and who are they created for without the proper governance model, what it also leads is to a maintenance chaos. Because imagine when someone without knowledge of a central IT creates an enterprise level solution, agent or automation, and then overnight this solution breaks, and then hundreds of people just overnight start banging at the door of your central IT or central support, begging to get this solution fixed. And 5 minutes ago, you didn't even know this solution existed. So that's another issue of not having the proper governance model. By default, Power Platform gives you more than 1,500 connectors, which is really powerful because you can integrate Power Platform solutions with systems inside M365 and outside. But by default, all of these connectors are enabled across all the Power Platform estates. So what it actually means is that your data, especially your sensitive data, can end up in some random places, again, without you really knowing what has happened. Not saying that somebody will try to do it on purpose, but sometimes when people play with the platform, they do not realize that they take sensitive data from Salesforce, they push it somewhere to like a public SharePoint location, or even outside of your organization, like some public platforms like LinkedIn. Because when you play with the platform and you use some data, you actually use the real data in most of the cases. And without the proper guardrails, you don't know where this data gonna end up in. What if, to manage all the previous risks, we just block the platform completely, and in that way make sure that people are not creating solutions uncontrollably, they're not creating the supports chaos, they are not managing sensitive data not in the right way? Well, even if you block Power Platform, which to be fair is already secure enough because it's inside your M365 tenants, and it already respects all your single sign-on, conditional access policies and stuff like that. Even if you block this platform, people will move somewhere else. People will still find a way to automate their daily routine, boring tasks, but they do it on some platforms, even outside of your tenants, which again, you will end up with the same kind of risks. Last but not the least, if you don't have the proper model around the platform, if people uncontrollably are creating all of these solutions, you might end up with 5 HR agents, 10 notification solutions that's sending you your incompleted tasks by the end of the week. And it's really confusing for end users to navigate in all of this chaos with so many uncoordinated tools, which leads to the inconsistent user experience. So how do we manage that? Well, when we talk about Power Platform governance, we usually not talking about one particular tool to manage this governance, but we talk about the governance model, something that we call Power Platform Center of Excellence. Power Platform Center of Excellence is much broader than just any single tool that you use to manage the platform. It's all around who's making the decisions, who operates the platform, how you're supporting your makers, how you're configuring your policies, your environments, DLPs, ALM, connectors, and etc. And how are you detecting and remediating any issues that may happen on the platform. So again, it's not about any particular tool. We've been using loads of them for years to manage the platform, but it's more around the model itself of how you're operating it. So where did CoE Starter Kit fit into all of this picture? Well, if we look at all of the governance functions, it's a few of them. We're all starting with this operating model and strategy, which again is like just how you're making the decision. What's your key audience? What's your risk appetite and things like that. We have our security and governance policies that we need to apply across the platform. We need to be monitoring and seeing how the platform actually is operating, what's the actual health stats, how healthy, not healthy your configurations are, what people are doing on the platform. So it's this monitoring and reporting layer. We need sometimes to automate some of the platform operations. Some of them you can do manually, but usually in most of the cases, you're trying to actually get them automated to remove some of this admin overhead. And we also have our platform adoption and business value, which is all about making all decisions with your end users, your makers in mind, making sure that they know of the best practices around your platform, you know, of your governance strategy, they have the skills to create solutions. So basically they know platform exists, they know how to use it, and they can create some meaningful solutions on the platform. CoE Starter Kit usually was covering only the two elements in the bottom. You can say that in certain scenarios it was helping you to, for example, define your strategy, because it was giving you the platform stats from the monitoring and reporting layer, or it was helping you again to grow the platform adoption, because again you had this usage statistics and you could make some decisions. But in reality, it was mostly covering the two elements in the middle. It's the monitoring and reporting layer, because we had loads of these flows collecting loads of metadata across the tenants and then visualizing it in the Power BI reports. And we had a set of solutions to automate platform operations, especially on the side of managing your orphaned components or the life cycle management. So like when something becomes unused, what do we do with those assets? So the key message here is that CoE Starter Kit was not a governance model. It was never supposed to be the governance model. It was the tooling to support your governance model in certain governance functions. So what's changing now? Well, as I said a couple of months ago, Microsoft have announced that they are no longer supporting CoE Starter Kit. What it means is that you still can download the solutions from the GitHub. You can still install them on your environment. No one's stopping you from doing that. But Microsoft are no longer adding new functionality to the CoE Starter Kit, and you may have already noticed it even before these last 2 months. Like, for example, we had solutions to manage orphaned apps and flows, but not really orphaned agents. So this new functionality already stopped for some time. But also, if you have any issues with the CoE Starter Kit functionality, these issues are no longer reviewed or addressed. Why is it happening? Well, for the last couple of years, Microsoft had been investing more and more into their Power Platform Admin Center, and they were trying to make it the tool to manage the platform from the platform, kind of. So basically, the investments just shifted from the CoE Starter Kit to the Power Platform Admin Center as it became more powerful comparing to a couple of years ago. Well, if we're saying that our focus has shifted from one tool to another, the right question that we should be asking ourselves now is the new tool fully ready enough to replace the old one that we're using? Does Power Platform Admin Center give us the like-for-like functionality from CoE Starter Kit so that when we feel comfortable, we can just switch one tool to another? Well, we have done this assessment for you, and we have assessed Power Platform Admin Center functionality against 5 key areas that CoE Starter Kit was managing. So it's the tenant-wide inventory, it's the usage adoption insights, it's lifecycle governance, so it's the management of unused components, like when something is unused for a matter of time, what do you do with those? It's the ownership management. What if something becomes orphaned because people leave the organization or they move to a different department? And how do you manage DLP policies, so the connectors inside Power Platform? Well, the picture that we have got from this assessment is a bit mixed. We have stronger areas at the bottom, so tenant-wide inventory and usage adoption insights. It's really strong with the native tooling directly in Power Platform Admin Center. It gives you good stats across your platform. It gives you some really strong native telemetry of your Power Platform usage. But it still has little gaps, mostly in the depth of the reporting, like you don't have some of the metadata you used to have in CoE starter kit. And then also some of the historical data. You see the current state of what you have currently on the platform, but you can't see, for example, all the assets that have been deleted a while ago, or makers that, again, haven't been have been very active on the platform at some point, but now they left the organization. So you don't have some of these historical bits. We have the partial coverage area, which is lifecycle governance. Again, Power Platform Admin Center gives good insights into the usage and hygiene stats. So you can see of what has been used for a while, what hasn't been used, when something was last launched or last modified. But it lacks the orchestration bit of where actually you, instead of having to manually go and manage every one of these unused assets, the automation that could sit behind it and actually manage all the unused apps, flows, and agents. Two biggest gaps that we have found are lying in ownership management and DLP policies. So ownership, again, Power Platform Admin Center gives you visibility of the owners, or where there's zero owners of the particular asset, but it's lacking the automation bit and the automation management and the automation detection of the orphan components. With DLP policies, the situation is slightly different. Power Platform Admin Center was always a place to configure your policies, so to basically say which connectors can be used together and which should be blocked. But CoE Starter Kit was giving us a set of automations that was helping to do the impact analysis. So what if you currently have SQL connector enabled and tomorrow you want to block it? You want to block it across 5 environments. How many apps or flows are going to be affected by this change? The Power Platform Admin Center, unfortunately, still lacks this type of functionality. Or, for example, when there's new connectors added to the system, again, there's no really automated identification system that tells you, oh, that's 5 new connectors that have been added in the last month. Maybe go and have a look at them. So, so basically the picture that we're seeing is that Power Platform Admin Center is really strong in some areas, but still incomplete or has some gaps in others, which does make sense because it's still an evolving tool and Microsoft's adding more functionality into it as we go. But the question is, how do we actually now transition from the old model of where we were using CoE Starter Kit into the new one of where we should be shifting our focus to Power Platform Admin Center? So before we talk about these post-CoE transition options, let's just have a quick look on what the good looks like. What's your modern approach to managing your governance for Power Platform should look like? Well, it still should start with the operating model. You can't really go anywhere further unless you have a set of strategic decisions on how you're managing the platform, who's your primarily users, how you're making the decisions, what's your risk appetite, and things like that. We now start with Power Platform Admin Center, the native capability that you have inside the tool that you don't really need to build or pay for anything extra. You just get access to it if you have the correct permissions applied to the admin account, and you can use it for native inventory, usage, stats, and to manage your policies and security controls. You still need a reporting layer to actually give you this in-depth reporting with all the metadata and being able to drill into the data, because that's how you're going to be making really impactful decisions on how to manage your platform with getting all this data insights. And then in certain cases of where you understand that some task becomes a big admin overhead, you need to just automate it through Power Platform APIs with automations or applications or agents. And we're going to talk about it in a second, well, a bit later during this webinar. So to transition into this modern governance model, we have a couple of transition pathways or transition approaches. The main thing I want to highlight here is that we're not seeing it as that is that you're going to have to choose one of the pathways and stick to it. It's actually going to be, for most organizations, it's going to be a combination of all three approaches depending on what exact governance function or your admin practices we talk about. But let's go through them one by one from left to right. So the first one is what we should start. What you should start looking at is adopting Power Platform Admin Center operating model. So where Power Platform Admin Center covers the functionality where you need to look at the platform inventory, where you need to do the platform administration, or, for example, manage environments. That is the place. That is the place to be. That is the place of where you should start all your admin operations and all your admin admin practices. In certain cases, it does make sense to continue using CoE Starter Kit safely. And by that, what we mean is that considering that Microsoft is no longer looking into the issues that may arise with the tool, you need to have some dedicated capacity inside of your team to support the solution in case there are any bugs or issues that need to be fixed. The main element of where we see the value of CoE Starter Kit to continue using it, it's the enhanced reporting and visibility. So we have the core component solution, which has a set of flows. I think it's more than 100 workflows that collect all the CoE data. So you basically collect all your stats across the environment with all of the metadata around your apps, flows, agents, connectors, makers, and things like that. And then on top of that CoE data, we had the out-of-the-box Power BI report that was just visualizing the data from CoE tables, which also contains some of that historical data. So that's where we see the most value of CoE Starter Kit. As I said, it's more than 100 flows, so you can imagine how long it can take you to rebuild this functionality completely from scratch, and why to do it if that's something that's already working and you can just keep supporting it while you're thinking of what needs to be transitioned. And last but not least is if you're seeing gaps from the Power Platform Admin Center, or for example, even from that reporting visibility, as I said, Microsoft is no longer adding new functionalities to the CoE Starter Kit, for example. So if you're seeing some gap into some piece of data that's not being collected or something not being represented on Power BI report, or some automation that you just need to build to manage Power Platform governance, you can just build it yourself, like build a bespoke solution for your requirements to extend your governance practices. The examples of what you can be building is, for example, the ownership continuity for agents. It's automation, some of the governance tasks like creation of managed environments, for example, or moving environments into groups. And Kseniya will show a bit later the demo of how these solutions can work. Or, for example, the DLP impact analysis tool that I mentioned previously to help you make decisions around DLP policies. So that's the three pathways. Again, just to highlight, we're not seeing them as you should choose one pathway and stick to it. It's in most cases going to be a combination of all three approaches. But how does it work really in practice? How do we choose where to use each tool and how to build this modern governance model with a combination of all three of them? Well, we're going to now dive into all of them one by one. Starting with Power Platform Admin Center. So Microsoft have been investing into Power Platform Admin Center really heavily for the last couple of years, and it's become much, much more powerful than it was like 3, 4 years ago. And you can do and see much more data inside the native tooling comparing to what you were able to do a couple of years ago. So before you think about rebuilding anything from scratch or using a solution built by somebody else and supporting it in-house, try using Power Platform Admin Center functionality and maximize the value of its capabilities. To do that, you need to ensure that you train your admins to use Power Platform Admin Center comfortably and effectively, to be able to basically just to be able to navigate inside the platform. That's 3 types of use cases of where Power Platform Admin Center should be your go-to tool. So it's starting with the governance visibility. So it's that tenant-wide inventory, it's the usage stats, it's the governance administration, which always was something that we were doing in Admin Center. So it's configuration of environments, connectors policies, any security controls. And it's also some of the governance operations, again, because Microsoft started bringing more functionality into the Admin Center. So, for example, you can configure alerts on certain events happening across your environments to be automatically notified. You can also manage pipelines that are used to deploy solutions from one environment to the other. And you can also manage your costs and licenses directly inside Power Platform Admin Center. So basically that's the FinOps piece, which is extremely important now, especially in the agentic era with management of Copilot credits for various functionality. So for those of you who haven't seen Admin Center or just haven't touched it for a while, just going to do a very quick demo of where you can find all of this functionality that I have mentioned before. So the tab of where you're probably going to spend most of your time is the Manage tab. On the left-hand side, we have a menu of all the functionality that your Admin Center has. To manage is where, firstly, you can find a list of all environments you have across the tenants. You can see some of the metadata directly on this view, so like the type of the environment, when it was created, or in what region. You can find a bit more information about each environment if you just open it and go directly into the environment settings. So you can see, for example, who it was created by, when it was created, and even see the list of assets that are hosted on that environment. Next tab, from environment, we move into inventory, and that's actually where we see the list of all apps, flows, agents, Power Pages portals that have been created across your tenants. You can do some basic filtering and sorting on this tab. And again, see some of the metadata. Also, in the right top hand side, there's a little icon that allows you to add more columns into this view in case you need to see more metadata. Next tab is usage. And that's where you can actually see on how many users your apps or agents have, when they were last modified, or sorry, when they were last launched. Inside the Power Platform Admin Center, you can also manage environment groups, which is a functionality for managed environments. So again, inside the same managed tab, you have environment groups, and you can configure groups and apply policies specifically for those groups, so that this, like, for example, a bunch of environments have the same policies applied. We have the security tab, and that's the place of where you're going to be configuring most of controls and most of connector policies and security controls. So for DLPs, we have, well, what the traditional DLPs as we know them, which is under data policy. But also we have these new advanced connector policies. If you haven't had a look at them, definitely recommend you doing that. They have been moved into GA probably about last month. So that's a new way of managing your connectors. And then we have some additional controls in identity and access tab. Last but not the least is the licensing, and that's where you can see all the Power Platform licenses and capacity across different services you have purchased and how they are being used. So that's been a quick demo of the Power Platform Admin Center, and we are moving now to the next element of our transition pathways, which is stabilizing CoE Starter Kit. So as I already mentioned, the main element of where we see value of continue using CoE Starter Kit is the core components for in-depth reporting. So that's how your model, how your reporting and visibility model can look like inside for your Power Platform governance. You start with your Power Platform Admin Center to get some of the usage statistics and some of the analytics. You enhance it with the CoE inventory data that is populated by more than 100 flows that are running on a daily or weekly basis, just depending on the type of the flows. And then you have Power BI reporting on top of that to visualize all of the data. If you're seeing that, for example, CoE inventory flows are not collecting some of the data, or Power BI is just not representing some of this data being collected, you can always extend the automated workflows or the Power BI reporting layer to give you more, to basically just to give you more automation or more visibility across your platform. And that's where we actually move into the last element of our transition pathways is extending governance functionality. So I already mentioned one of the use cases of where you can just add more visualization for the out-of-the-box reporting. But I'm going to hand over to Kseniya now, and she's going to talk us through of how and when you should be rebuilding certain pieces.
Thank you, Nastya. So we have seen what Power Platform Admin Center give us out of the box, but let's see when that's not enough. So we don't need to build the whole new system from scratch. We can just extend what already we have or just fill the gaps. And everything in the slides starts with one thing, the governance APIs at ap.powerplatform.com. Every tool we will discuss now, data, automation, apps, reports, connects back to the same API layer that keeps everything consistent and easy to maintain. And yeah, in the slide we have 4 blocks. First is data. We use the Power Platform IP and Inventory IP to pull information about the tenant. Also, we use admin version 2 connector is for let us build flows against that admin data easily. And of course, we can use existing Dataverse table and tables from CoE Starter Kit if you already installed it before. The second part is automation. This is how we act on the data. Power Automate and Logic App handle the real work. We can work with agents like quarantine, reassign, and delete. Also, we can manage environment groups and rules. We can work with DLP policies and so on. And also, we can send specific notification to track what happened in our tenant. And PowerShell and CLI in this part we can use for more technical and scripted tasks. And also I want to add some note that for now, if a new feature for admin appears in the platform, it's added everywhere. So it's added in connector, admin connector, and also it's added in PowerShell scripts. Let's go to the third part, applications. We still need to interact with our data. And for this, we can use Canvas and model-driven apps. Also, you can write code app, for example. And of course, you can use Cobalt Studio to create a chatbot so makers can get answers based on governance data. And the fourth part is reporting. Of course, Power BI and Fabric. turn all that data into dashboard, and admins can actually use. And also Dataverse reporting give us quick access to the raw numbers that we have in previous Dataverse tables. And also one thing to remember from this slide: build only what Admin Center doesn't already give you. So we don't need to replace the Power Platform Admin Center or CoE Starter Kit. We are only building something new when there's a real gap, so that we don't have for now. Okay, and let's talk about new version of Admin Connector. Because we jump from version 1 to version 2, and it gives us more capabilities for now. Version 1 has about 20 actions, and honestly, most of them were read-only, no agent governance at all. You couldn't touch Copilot agents, no environment groups, no recommendations API, limited DLP, and also environment lifecycle was mostly view only. If something needed to be quarantined or reassigned, you were doing it manually and in Admin Center, or you also did it using other admin connectors like Power Apps or Power Automate for admins. And version 2, new version, changes that completely. We now have 60 plus actions. We can quarantine, reassign, and delete agents. We can create and manage environment groups and rules. We can pull from the recommendation API. We have full DLP policy management, a full environment life cycle, ownership transfer, quarantine, and unquarantine actions. All of this now in one connector. Okay, and let's discuss what do we need to build ourselves, since native Power Platform Admin Center doesn't cover everything. We'll compare 3 things: CoE Starter Kit, Power Platform Admin Center, and what's still missing, like the parts that we can build. And they organize this table around 5 common governance needed. And let's start from the first one, Discover. CoE Starter Kit used to sync a full inventory of the tenants on schedule. I remember once a day. Admin Center today gives us a good inventory views, but they're just only views, and we still need a real data source for our custom flows and apps. And so what we can build for this, we can build a sync flow using a new admin connector or inventory API. We can save data into Dataverse. For example, about the agents like that we don't have in Starter Kit. Next pattern is Classify. The Starter Kit used simple business specification forms. So people manually explained why an app or environment existed. Admin Center's classification tool are basic. They don't capture the details we need. So for this, we can build a Power App with a Graph API checks, collect this information automatically when something is created or requested, and it's of course better and faster than we can do it manually. The third part is Enforce, and it's the biggest part. CoE Starter Kit could auto-quarantine or clean up orphaned resources automatically, but just apps and flows. Admin Center today is still mostly manual, so admins still need to click on each component to check something. And we can, in this part, we can use our new admin connector. We can use it to quarantine, to remove or assign agents automatically, and the demo we will see later in next slide. The next pattern is Notify. Starter Kit sent welcome emails and inactivity alerts, like for example, when your flow had a lot of fails. Admin center's native notifications are still limited, and we can send it. We can set up this notification just for admins. And in this case, we can build a flow to send teams adaptive card or approvals with, for example, choice of our actions. And also we can add more detailed notifications, not just for admins, but for example, for makers too. And the last part is report. The starter kit has really great Power BI dashboard. Admin Center has some analytics, but no custom scoring. So for this part, we can also create our custom Power BI based on our previous data. And now let's look to the real example. So our first demo finds orphaned agent, Copilot Studio agent whose owner has left the company, is disabled or deleted. The problem, like admin center show us for now as more than before, but admin still has to check every agent's owners and decide what to do with this agent. And when you have a lot of agents, when you have many environments, no admin can check each one by hand. So for this, we create this automation. And in diagram, we created flow that we trigger weekly. We get all agents from Dataverse system table. We check if the owner of this agent is still available in active in our tenant using Office 365 user connector. If we still have this owner, no actions needed. If we get some error, we send approval notification to admin with 4 steps, with 4 choices: reassign to manager, quarantine, or even delete the flow, or just skip this action. And also you can, in the flow, you can log all your actions that you did. Let's go to Power Automate. Can you see my screen?
Yep,
Oh, yes.
it just came through.
Okay, our first flow, we added trigger and we trigger this flow weekly. We get all environments or environments that you need for your case. For example, now I filtered by the name. Here in this action, this is Power Platform admin connector action. We have information about tenant, about environment, like ID, display name, tenant ID, type, enable, disable, and so on. Also, the country, region, and for each environment, we get agent information from a system Dataverse table. Okay, underload this information. We have this one, and here we have the ID, the ID of the owner of your agent. We have unmanaged or managed, publish or not, the name of your agent, and other information. Let's go to Power Automate. And here also I filter it and I get agents that was modified more than 3 months ago. And yeah, here I get a user profile of the owner. As you can see, this owner is deleted. In this case, we get the error. And after that, we start the approval. The response from this approval, no action. But if we check the switch, we can see that we can reassign the owner to the manager, and we get this manager from user system table. We can quarantine this agent, or we can even delete this agent. This is our first demo. Let's go to presentation. Okay. Yeah. And now let's go to the second demo. And these are one sort environment into groups automatically. Like, for example, production, development, sandbox, or unclassified. But you can also add another rule, for example, by the name of your projects or the region. And of course, environment groups are helpful. One rule can apply to many environments at once, but sorting them by hand is slow, and maybe some different admins sort it differently. And we created automation. We trigger this flow daily. We also get all environments. We check if this environment has a group. If yes, we skip this environment. If no, we classify by name. So we check the name of this environment and check if we have a production part, if we have development part like dev or sandbox, if we have sandbox like test or UAT part, and if we don't have anything, we move it to unclassified group. And let's go to the par automate. Okay, so here you have a list of environments. Also, I filter by this column, environment group ID. If we have this column, so this environment.
Kseniya, you're not sharing your screen.
Sorry.
Oh, wait a sec.
Okay. I can reshare my screen. Can you see my screen?
1 second.
I hope yes.
It's loading.
I could try again.
Yep, it's on.
Okay. So in the flow, we get a list of environments. We filter it by group column. Like if we have environment group ID column in the output, so this environment has the group. If we don't have this column, we filter it and get this environment. And in our apply to each, we check the name of this environment. And for example, if the name contains dev, we assign it to dev group. If no, we check sandbox. And the last part, we check production. And if all these conditions are false, we assign this environment to unclassified group. Yeah, that's all from my side. Nastya, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kseniya. So let's bring the slides back on. Okay, so we've talked with you about the CoE starter kit role in the governance model. We've talked about what has changed, and we've talked already about all the 3 different transition options and gave you some examples of where to go for each of them. And before we wrap up, we just want to briefly share with you how we think we can help you on this journey. Obviously, you can take it forward yourselves and try and analyze on how CoE Starter Kit is currently used within the organization, and then come up with a transition plan based on the options we have shared. But if you, for example, don't have the right skill set within your team, or you just don't have capacity to look into that, just because we all know how busy everyone is and everyone's backlogs are so huge. So if you require help, where we can help you with is firstly starting with the assessment of what is your CoE Starter Kit dependencies, what are your current admin practices, how well Power Platform Admin Center is currently adopted by your admins, and based on that, define a recommendations report with transition roadmap for different admin practices. Again, based on the previous stuff we have shared already during this webinars, there can be one or three options of what we do as part of this transition roadmap. So option one is seeing of where it does make sense for your organization to adopt or better adopt Power Platform Admin Center operating model. And where we can help you with is train your admins to comfortably and efficiently use the native tooling. Where it does make, we can also look at where it does make sense for you to keep using CoE Starter Kit components that are already very deeply embedded into your organization admin practices before we think about rebuilding them from scratch. And we can help you with actually supporting those components, considering that Microsoft is no longer looking at the issues, if any, arise with that pre-built tool. Last but not least, if we identify any gaps in your governance model, any actions that your admins are doing manually that make sense to be automated, or something that you're actually not doing just because of that admin overhead that it might bring to your admins team, we can help you with actually building those missing components, all those elements of the governance that you're doing manually to automate your governance model. Well, that's it from our side, and we actually have about, well, a little bit less than 10 minutes for Q&A, but let's have a look if we have anything in the Q&A. Okay, we have just a couple of questions. So will can these slides be shared after the session? Yes, sure, we will. So we can share the slides after this webinar, and then also the recording will be published on the YouTube channel as we do with all of our webinars. So you'll be able to find it there. And we have one more. So does the new Agent 365 admin add more features to managing Power Platform? Well, that's an interesting question because there are loads of admin tools now, and specifically if we talk about Power Platform Admin Center and Agent 365 Admin Center, they are managing slightly different elements of your M365 tenant and a little bit beyond. They have some clashes specifically around the Copilot Studio agents, but I'd say that again, it's just for both of those tools should be used for slightly different purposes. Agent 365 can help you to manage your Copilot Studio agents in the way of seeing the inventory of all the agents. Actually, Agent 365 gives you not just Copilot Studio, but also Agent Builder and pre-built agents by Microsoft and third-party agents that are installed on your tenant. And then also, again, when we talk specifically about Copilot Studio as a part of Power Platform, through Agent 365, you can do manually some of the configuration of the agents. Like you can block, enable, or deploy, delete agents through Agent 365 admin admin plane, same as you can do it through the Power Platform. So that's where the functionality clashes, but again, as I said before, both of tools used for slightly different scenarios and use cases. Right. Well, we only had 2 questions. I think that's it. We're probably going to keep this open for another maybe a couple of minutes just in case anyone drops another question. But if no, thank you everyone for attending. As said, we'll share the recording and the slides. But yeah, thank you and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.